Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, go ahead, shoot us a quick take on the voicemail line, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And then shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but baseball season is rolling strong. So you need to go to some games, and then football season is obviously right around the corner, which is why I have my guy, Travis Hicks, sports reporter, coming in hot, joining us on the show today. What's going on with you, Travis? How you feeling, man?
Man, it feels good to be back. Football season is here. Can't wait for the games this weekend. We got college football, so many great matchups.
Man.
Excited to be back on the pod with you. It's the best season. Football being back. We got Thursday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights, and obviously Sunday. So it's better.
Man, yeah, I'm excited for this time. I can't wait. I can't wait to see Alabama go win the championship, and then we circle and turn around and see the Atlanta Falcons win a Super Bowl, and then we gonna come back around to the basketball. Oh, wait, I forgot MLB. Then we gonna come back around and see Tigers win a World Series. Okay, then basketball season gonna creep up, and we gonna see the Pistons win the finals. Like, bruh, just I'm excited. I'm excited. But no, seriously though, man, I'm definitely excited for football season, and I'm glad to have you on the show. So we're not gonna waste no more time because we'll go off in a conversation that's completely separate. But bro, let's start with this. The NFL begins next week, Thursday. What teams are you most excited to watch this season?
Oh, super excited for obviously the Detroit Lions. Got my blue on. It's not a Lions shirt, that's a blue shirt. I think, after last year 15-2, had so many guys on IR, about over 20 plus guys were on IR from the defense. So I'm happy all those guys are back. Excited to see Hutch. In my opinion, he was on his way to win a defensive player of the year before he got hurt. I think Lions have a point to prove. A tough schedule, but I think Lions are going to, make some noise. I'm super excited to watch them play another team. I'm excited to watch the Bengals play. Joe Burrow, man. I think he had an MVP season from last year, and I know that defense is still questionable, but when you got a team of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, that's a three-headed monster. That team is dangerous, and they make the playoffs. They'll definitely make some noise.
Yeah, I'm excited about the Bengals too, man. Bengals was one of the teams here, and I got a couple different teams that I'm gonna bring up, but the Bengals was one of the teams I have on here. They were third in points in the AFC last year and barely missed the playoffs. But like you said, bro, just come down to having Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. That is an unstoppable trio between those guys. So I know that regardless of how tough the schedule is, that we can always expect an explosive offense from the Bengals. But I will say this, and I'm going to bring this up, this is kind of a side conversation within the Bengals, is I'm wondering, their head coach, bro, he's been there for some time. He hasn't really done much. They had the one appearance in the Super Bowl, which was cool. But I'm starting to think that Zach Taylor is in a hot seat.
I would say this. So that's a good point about Zach Taylor, but Joe Burrow's rookie season, to go through a timeline, he's hurt. They obviously lost a bunch of games. The next year they make the Super Bowl. The next year after that, they're in the AFC title game. Then obviously the 23-24 year, Burrow hurt. Last year was the year they really should have made noise, but obviously the defense, and they lost a lot of close games. I would say if they don't make the playoffs for a third straight year, yes, he's for sure, because that, you can't do that. But I feel like with the team they got, they should, because it's so crazy. You could be successful, have one bad year, and get fired. Just look at all the NBA coaches that's happened. So I do think they got to do something, at least win the division, or more so just make the playoffs. Be at least a wild card team.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that. So a couple other teams that I'm excited to look out for, and I'm excited to watch. I'm looking at the Commanders. I'll explain why in a second. I got to see Jaden Daniels and what he's doing. And then this is probably the most surprising, but the Las Vegas Raiders. I really do think we got to look out for the Raiders, and not in the sense of, this team is going to be so great, they're going to make the playoffs and win the Super. No, not saying we got to look out for the Raiders for that reason. But I really do think the Raiders are going to have a different season and win more than 4 games that they won last year because they got Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. Now, last season, look, people bring up the defense and say, oh, the Raiders was trash defensively, all of that. But if you look at the stats, they allow less points per game than the Lions and the Vikings, who were considered elite defenses in the NFL. So I'm looking at this like, all right, they struggled with the offensive side of the ball, bottom 5 in points. Now you get Geno Smith, who clearly proved that he still got some game. And then he also got some crazy receiving. Oh, I'm really just tight end options, not even receiving options, but tight end options over there with Brock Bowers. So I think Raiders is a team that we kind of got to keep an eye out for, of just wanting to watch. And I ain't going to say keep an eye out for in terms of making something happen, but I know I'm excited to watch them because of what they might do with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll.
I respect that. I do think Geno Smith adds a different element in what he did in Seattle. They were a really good team, for a few seasons of what he did, when he had DK. They were special. They gave the Lions trouble, times past before last year. But no, I think that's definitely an interesting pick. Another team I would add to your point after thinking about what you said, I would say the Rams. When you look at the playoffs of the landscape last year, the Eagles were beating the crap out of everybody besides the Rams. They played them the hardest and closest in the playoffs last year. Stafford, I love Stafford. I don't care what people in Detroit might think about him. Stafford did amazing things here, and he got a Super Bowl when he had like a better team around him. So I'm always going to have respect for him. And I still think Stafford has a great arm going into year 17. So one thing we're not only seeing with Stafford, but just like a lot of athletes, players are playing till they're, years like 15, 20 years in. You obviously see that more so in the NBA. But I think the Rams are definitely a team to look out for, because giving Stafford Devontae Adams, I think you're going to see a lot of that. And the NFC is just going to be tough this year. I'm so excited for it.
All right, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate just for a quick second, bro, because you mentioned the name. Obviously, they got some heat over there with the Rams, and I think the Rams is a team to consider. Not gonna lie, I think it's a team to consider. But Puka Nacua is definitely WR over there, and Devontae Adams. I'm sorry, man, but I think Devontae Adams is washed. I think it's almost time for him to go ahead and sit down, man. I think it's time.
I don't think he's a wash, no, man. He's not the number one guy. I agree, Puka is, but he's not. He still has a few more years, and he doesn't have an old Aaron Rodgers throwing to him, or the quarterbacks. What I'm saying? He was playing with a bunch of guys that probably shouldn't have been starting quarterbacks in the NFL, maybe the CFL. So I think like now since he has Stafford, but I'll agree he's not the same Devontae Adams from a few years ago. Like, he's not the best wideout in the league. That title goes to like a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give him this. All right. Maybe not washed, but definitely not, the guy he was, a couple years ago, whatever. And I do really, really believe that having Aaron Rodgers throw him a lot of these balls that happen to be ducks, kind of hindered our faith in Devontae Adams. So maybe a guy like Stafford, who is clearly still elite, just judging year after year, maybe he can kind of revive a little bit of that doubt that people have in Devontae Adams, because he can throw the ball over 40 yards accurately now. So, I'm curious to see, but that is a good point. That is another team that we should probably keep an eye out for, watch and see how that offense looks, because they're a solid team, and they've been making noise over the past 3 to 4 years too. So got to keep them in mind for sure. And then, another team, I'll kind of go to this because I mentioned them really quick, but I didn't explain why I have them in here. Some Lions fans are going to be mad at me because, it's instant beef now since the playoffs of last year. The Commanders, man, Jaden Daniels. I need to see what Jaden Daniels do this upcoming season. It's his second season, and I really do feel I will stand on this hill. I would die on this hill. Quarterbacks who are rookies have a slight advantage in the NFL. I know Jaden Daniels had a monumental rookie season, but this second season in the NFL may not be the same. And I say this because when you're a rookie in the NFL, teams don't really get a chance to understand your tendencies. They don't really get a chance to understand what you do well, what makes you flustered. Do you like throwing from the left side of the field, the right side of the field, your tendencies pre-snap, your tendencies against zone, against man. Like, teams don't really get to figure this out when you're a rookie. So coming into the second season, best believe things in the NFL change fast. People watch a lot of film over the summer, and I just don't think that Jaden Daniels will have that same type of dominant run that he had in his rookie season. People bring up C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud had an amazing rookie season, and then last year or his second season didn't really do the best. It was still solid, but it didn't live up to the hype of his rookie year. So I think that same thing is probably going to happen with the Commanders and Jaden Daniels.
I like what you said. I think Jaden Daniels is amazing. I do disagree, though. I do think he's going to be amazing again this year. I really am a fan of Jaden Daniels. I like him. I hope he plays well against everybody besides the Detroit Lions, because that was heartbreaking what he did to us last year. And when I'm looking at the season he had compared to C.J. Stroud, even though C.J. Stroud had an amazing rookie season too, this man almost accomplished the greatest rookie season ever if he would have beat the Eagles and gone on to win. The Super Bowl, what they did and what he did against the Lions was amazing. Even though I was disappointed, obviously being a Lions fan, but Jaden
Yeah.
I think is nice. I do think he's gonna have like that chip on his shoulder of a lot of people have that second year slump. I think he wants to prove the doubters wrong. And really, when you look at the NFC, the top teams are like the Commanders, obviously the Eagles, the reigning champs, us, and we'll see how the 49ers are since they'll be fully healthy again, and obviously Rams and a few others. But I do think he could have that success. It might not be an NFC title game, but I do see him as far as numbers wise putting up the same production because Jaden's a dual threat, man. He can run, he can throw. So I'm interested to see what he does. But you do make a good point because CJ last year was okay and he made the playoffs. Obviously, they lost to the Chiefs, but it wasn't the same
Yeah.
CJ from the previous year. So it's interesting, but I do think Jaden Daniels can do that. I'm not going to say he will just have a second year amazing, but I do think it's possible that he can grow from what he did previously.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. And also too, Dan Quinn and they cooked up over there last year. I feel some type of way about Dan Quinn. I go back and forth just because Falcons fan here, so I go back and forth a little bit about Dan Quinn. But ultimately, I can agree with you there. I'm concerned with their defense, but really I should say the pass def or the run defense is what I'm really concerned with for the Commanders because they were pretty bad last year. But I mean, I don't know, anything can happen. But other than that, any other teams you got your eye out for this year?
One team I'm intrigued, but I'm not saying they're going to make any noise. I really want to see how the Patriots play. Drake May and Stephon
Yeah.
Diggs. I was shocked by Stephon Diggs going there from Houston. I thought he would have went to another contender, not a team kind of rebuilding post Brady. And I really like Drake May. Brady's my favorite player ever. That's my goal. So I've always wondered what the Patriots would do after him. And I do like Drake May a lot. Obviously it didn't work out with Mac Jones. They tried other quarterbacks like Zappy, who shouldn't have been in the league, to be honest. Other guys, since then. So I'm excited to see what Drake May. I thought he had some nice games last year. I'm really excited to see what he does. Hopefully, the offensive line will be better because a lot of these guys, in my opinion, are talented quarterbacks. They just don't have no line blocking for them.
Yeah, no, I get that, and that's very true. I mean, some people say that same thing about Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert for a long time, but that's a whole nother conversation. The only thing with the Patriots, I think, I'm curious to see how they turn out too, especially with Diggs. But I would never be on the side of paying Diggs all that money coming off of ACL injury. I would never be on the side of that. To me, that would never be okay. I will always be on the side of they should not do it, but I mean, they did it anyway. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But look, man, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to jump into some more stuff because a lot of teams, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it. But there's some teams who didn't make the playoffs, so we're going to see who and which one of them will get into the playoffs. So we'll be right back. It's halftime. Don't go anywhere.
That was a smooth segment.
Yeah, it was. And
Yeah, every time I talk to you, it just feels like so genuine. And I don't try to disagree. That's how I actually. That's why I like talking sports with you because that felt longer than 13 minutes to be real.
No, I love it, bro, and that's why I love having you on too. And also too, just to let you know, we are still live, by the way.
Okay.
It's just like on YouTube, by the way. So whatever, they can see some behind the scenes. I don't give a damn.
Oh yeah, we're not saying nothing crazy. No, but no, I just enjoy it, man.
I'm like, let me just, because I don't think I told you in the very beginning that it's also live stream, and I do it that way just so it's quicker to get onto YouTube and
stuff like that. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm excited for this next segment, and I can't. You shocked me with the Raiders. I like the Commanders one. I do like the Raiders pick actually too, but that was one I wasn't expecting. So that's what made me think. I was like, what's a team that it's kind of like flies under the radar, doesn't get talked. I was like, the Rams are a decent team that doesn't get talked about as much.
Bro, I've been thinking about the Raiders a lot. Like I'd just be, I don't know why. I don't know why. I think it's probably just Geno Smith. But I've been thinking about the Raiders a lot, man. They be like. It'd be random times, bro. Like I'd be heating up some food, and I'm like, "Damn, the Raiders do that."
That's how it be.
Seriously,
So,
bro. Like I just
this
be
is
coming. It be the most
this,
random things. I'm
this is
like,
so random. The girl I'm talking to, we were getting coffee yesterday, and for some reason, I just kept thinking about Steph Curry 2016 playoff highlights when they came back from 3-1 against the Thunder.
bro, seriously,
Random,
it be stuff
weird,
like
I know, but like, I just be thinking about sports highlights. You
them
know,
random sports moments that just stick with
yeah,
you, bro. I don't know why, and I don't know like what it is, but some of the random sports moments just like really stick with you.
yeah. I was just like, so no, I feel it, bro. I be thinking about that stuff all the time.
Yeah, like damn, Brian really came back from down
3-1.
3-1 in the final. Like it just be
You know what
all
I'm saying?
right. It be just crazy stuff. But all right, let me all right, let's go to this. So all right. Okay. All right, I got a couple of these teams too, so this will be dope. All right, man. Welcome back to the run with me, Manny Wilson. I'm still here with my guest, Travis Hicks, sports reporter. So let's do it. Look, so stat here for everybody listening. For 35 consecutive years, 4 new teams have made the NFL playoffs. Now, Travis, here's where the question comes in. Of these 4 new teams that are supposedly supposed to make the playoffs, who will it be?
I would say the Bengals right now. I think the Bengals are
Bengals, for
poised
sure.
for a deep playoff run. I think AFC
Definitely.
title game, potentially Super Bowl, my opinion.
Hmm.
Another team I would say that didn't make the playoffs that could. This is going to be a wild card. I'm going to say the Patriots. I do like Drake
Oh,
May a lot. I
shoot.
do think Stephon. I know I might be blasphemy to a lot of people, but don't sleep on that. Drake May. He's nice. He's not Brady yet, but like he probably won't be Brady. I'm not going to disrespect the goat,
Yeah,
but
it's
like
crazy.
but but
Yeah.
but, but Drake May is going to be. I think he's going to be nice. Two other teams that didn't make the playoffs that could. I think you're going to like this one. The Atlanta Falcons, I believe, is one team to look
Yeah,
out
let's
for.
get
Michael
you in the
Penix, what he did, the last few games of the season when they took out Kirk Cousins. Even though they didn't win those games, Michael Penix played great. He showed what he could do the whole season. So him getting a full year under his belt, I think they're going to be very good. And the last team I would say that could make the playoffs that didn't last year. This is going to surprise a lot of people, but I'm a Michigan guy. The Minnesota Vikings will be in the playoffs. JJ McCarthy is a bad man. He has
Wow.
Addison. He has Justin Jefferson. They have a great team. And that team last year won 14 games with Sam Darnold. That's no slight to Sam Darnold because he
Wow.
played amazing last year up until the playoffs. But JJ, I think a full year, going to have under his belt technically his rookie season.
Wow.
JJ's a winner. So those are my 4.
Wow. Wow, you couldn't have proved you're a Michigan guy no more than that, man. If anybody needed proof that you're a Michigan guy, I think it's the faith in JJ McCarthy because I'm not sold on JJ McCarthy. I'm really not, bro. I think he got carried to that championship. I'm gonna just say it. That's a side conversation, but I really do think JJ McCarthy got carried to that championship. So now that he's with the Vikings, where he ain't gonna really get carried, I don't see it happening. You got Jay Jettas over there, Justin Jefferson, and that's a crazy weapon that he has. I think Addison is still there as well.
Yep. You
But
saw Aaron Jones, who's decent, as a running
Aaron,
back.
yeah, it's like he got some dogs, but I don't think it'll be enough to even get close to what Sam Darnold was doing. Because Sam Darnold was dialing up at one point. And then also we gotta remember, sometimes, like I just said, rookies have the advantage. So maybe JJ McCarthy does come out and tear it up, but maybe he won't. So that's I will add them to the teams or to the list of teams where I'm excited to watch. Another team you mentioned, bro, the Patriots. The Patriots.
Yes. I think they could make the playoffs. I think Drake May, that division is tough. I mean, well, actually not really that tough outside the Bills. Obviously, the Bills are the best team in that
Yeah.
division. But I do think the Patriots, why can they be the second best team or a wild card? Because the Jets are terrible.
Ooh,
The
man.
Dolphins, Tua is not always healthy, so we don't know what, the Dolphins are going to do. And obviously, they didn't make the playoffs this past
Ooh.
year. So I'm just saying it's a chance. And football is also every given Sunday. So.
Yeah, you never know. You never know with football, and there is a chance that they make the playoffs. But I would almost give the chance, at least in teams in that division, I would give the chance to the Jets, just because I feel like they got more talent than the Patriots right now. Like they got Aaron Glenn over there now, new head coach.
Yep, shout
Obviously,
out.
he may not go to the playoffs his first year coaching, whatever. That's normal. But I think they have a lot of talent over there because they still got the same defense and they still got a lot of offensive weapons over there. You had Justin Fields. We don't know what he's going to do. That's kind of a big question mark, but the receiving options still the same. The running back option, Brees Hall, still the same. So I kind of feel like they are a little more developed than the Patriots. But again, division games get weird. Division games get nasty. Anything can happen. And Patriots down the line will be a powerhouse. I think if they continue to do good in the draft like they did this past season and then continue to add certain pieces around Drake May, maybe he is the answer. Like you've been saying, maybe he is. But who knows, man? I'm curious to watch them too. But making the playoffs is a little crazy. That's why I brought it up. The Patriots making the playoffs is crazy for the Patriots.
Bill Belichick took Mac Jones to the playoffs. So I don't think is that, you know what I'm saying? Mac Jones, like, obviously, you know, he was clearly not an NFL quarterback. He's probably a backup somewhere. But like I'm just saying, like Drake May, you know, we'll see. I got
they won 4 games last year. Who? They won 4. Patriots. They won 4 games last year. You think they would get to like 9 and 10 or like 10 games?
I think they can improve. I do think, like, I would say playoffs out of the 4 teams I named, I'm least confident in the Patriots. I'm more confident in the Vikings. But I do think it could happen. And I also want to see someone different. And I really do like what I saw from Drake May. And I think year 2 from him, a full season of starting, because he didn't start every game last year. That's why I think is going to be the difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'll give you this. So I'll give you this on the whole playoff take. I obviously, you know, bold statement there, whatever. It's cool. But I do think the Patriots are gonna be a team that like no longer is gonna lay down and just get whooped or like get an easy dub on. Like anybody who sees the Patriots on the schedule, you definitely gonna have to buckle up and lock in again because they're not like I think the rebuild is definitely on the come up. So maybe not this year where they're killing teams or getting to the playoffs, but they're going to definitely win more than 4 games. I see that happening for sure. And I don't think
4 teams.
You said what?
Who are your 4 teams?
My 4 teams, man, I got a couple of them. So let's see. First team here, you already know, Atlanta Falcons. I think they definitely going to make something happen. 8-9 last year, but could have definitely won a lot more games had Kirk not played through an injury and threw more interceptions than he did than touchdowns. So I'm going with the Falcons. But other than the Falcons, I got surprisingly here because nobody likes this team and I don't even like this team. But surprisingly, I think the Cowboys is one of those teams that make the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah, I say the Cowboys is definitely a team that make the playoffs because hear me out. Look, I don't like the Cowboys either, but they were 7-10 last year. No Dak Prescott. Literally lost your starting quarterback and they won 7 games last year. That is crazy. Micah Parsons was up and down, missed about 5 games last year, and they still were able to win multiple games, win 7 games. We've seen CeeDee Lamb go down and they were still able to win multiple games. So yes, I get it's the Cowboys. Nobody likes them. I don't even like the Cowboys, but I really do think they just have a lot of talent on that team, and it's almost too much talent on that team to miss the playoffs when everybody is healthy. So that's why I say Cowboys can definitely get in the playoffs this year.
Okay. And I mean, I think it's similar to like my Patriot pick in my opinion, but I do get your point because I actually do like Dak a lot. I think he is inconsistent, but when Dak has his moments, like he definitely has had like those great games. So it'll be interesting. The team that I picked outside the Vikings, I really think the Bengals, man. I love outside of what Josh Allen and Lamar. Lamar got that MVP stolen. He should have won it last year, but that's another conversation for another day. Joe Burrow could have been. That's what I'm saying. If Joe Burrow's team wasn't so bad as far as record-wise last year, he could have won, the MVP because he was top 3 in pretty much every statistical, passing category. Definitely. So that's when, I'm just really excited for them.
Man, if Joe Burrow, it's weird. Because I genuinely feel like Lamar Jackson should have won the MVP last year. Obviously, they gave it to Josh Allen. He had a great season also, but the real sleeper in that MVP race was Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow should have 1,000% been in the conversation of winning MVP between him and Lamar Jackson because Joe Burrow, what he was doing was truly, truly incredible. And they went on that last little late win streak toward the end of the season. But it's really if anybody needs proof of the award being 1, a quarterback award, and 2, a team award of how great your team is performing, that's the proof. Just go look at the 2024 season because Joe Burrow, his play was incredible. He just did not get the wins enough to be in that conversation of the MVP. And then out of all the other people who played great, Saquon Barkley was amazing. You could name a couple people on the Eagles team that deserve possibly an MVP conversation. Justin Jefferson was also crazy last year. Jamar Chase was crazy last year. So you had multiple people who should have been in the conversation for MVP. But of course, quarterback award is kind of where it's heading. Yeah, that's where it's heading. But that's my third team anyway. Bengals they were definitely in that conversation because they were right on the cusp of getting in the playoffs last year. But no, the Chiefs wasn't about to lose no games to go against the Bengals in the playoffs. They wasn't about to lose no games. And then the last team, I think it's a very, very bold statement because I have no faith in this team either. But I think the Dolphins might smuggle their way into the playoffs, possibly.
I don't think that's a bad pick because, like, if Tua's healthy, we know what the weapons he has around him with Waddle and Tyreek Hill still. So, but that's the big if is his health.
Literally, yep, that's the biggest if. It's if he is healthy and if he doesn't take some time away from other reasons. I don't even want to speak into existence. But anyway, so those are the teams, man. That's my teams that I have. But I also thought it was just crazy, like, that we're getting new playoff teams each year for 35 consecutive years. I thought that was just insane. So that's why I wanted to kind of shed some light on which teams that might be. Any other teams that come to mind to you? I'll leave the floor for you if you have any. If not, it's cool.
One other team, I was big on Justin Herbert before. I'm not sure if I'm that big on the Chargers. I used to just think, like, man, he's a great quarterback and he can, get over the hump to get to the playoffs, but he chokes in big moments. So I'm intrigued to see how the Chargers play because I do like Justin Herbert and what Jim Harbaugh is trying to build there. But that is one team that comes to mind. Also, another team I didn't say, I don't think they'll make the playoffs because I think Lions and Vikings will. But team to always, they're just a great team, in my opinion, is the Packers. Jordan Love, obviously, they made it last year. And they could make it this year. I just think it's going to be Vikings, Lions. But you can't sleep on the Packers, man. That division is just tough because even the Bears, like, you got our old coach, you got Ben Johnson. So
yeah, you just don't know what to expect in that division. Anybody, because God forbid the Bears have a magical turnaround and all of a sudden they're really good. Now that division is insane. Yeah. Insane. So, no, I do like that, though. I like those picks. Also, too, Chargers. I'll just say this, man. I think Justin Herbert is a bust. A bust. Yeah, I'll leave it. I think he's a bust, man.
I was big on him, but honestly, it's looking like that, so we'll see.
I think it's a bust. But other than that, man, I'm going to leave or Travis, let the people know where they can find you first, man. Let them know where they can find you, and then I'll leave it on a positive note.
Well, Manny, as always, thank you for having me. Everyone can follow me on Twitter at Travis_reporter, and my YouTube is Travis Hicks_reporter, and the YouTube's the same as Instagram, Travis Hicks_reporter, Facebook just Travis Hicks, posting weekly content, and stay tuned for what's next.
Yeah, y'all check him out, man. Check out my guy, man. He's definitely just doing some great things, and man, yeah, y'all gonna be hearing from him. I'm trying to get him on here as much as I can, so I'll be bugging him, and if you like what you heard, I'll be bugging them specifically for you. So we'll see, man. Other than that, I'm gonna leave with a positive note, and a positive note, man, is just gonna be as simple as sometimes things don't happen on our timing. That's all I'm gonna say, man. This is just things. I try and get a positive note just based on where I am and certain conversations I have, but this is probably the most fitting positive note I can think of is sometimes things don't happen on our own time, and no matter how much we plan it out, it just don't happen. But you just got to stay at it, keep with it, and keep hoping for the best, keep putting in the work to get the best, and it'll happen. So I'll leave it at that. Other than that, man, I'm up out of here. We will see y'all. Oh shoot, it's the weekend. Wow. Okay. It's Thursday. All right, cool. So yeah, we'll see y'all next week, man. We'll see y'all Monday. We got football next week, so excited for that. But other than that, man, we will be back later on next week, and so on and so on and so on.